Tonight at 6, a child is drowned in a pool. The tragedy in Fairfax County, Virginia. We've got the latest details from the scene. Suspect in court, the man accused of gunning down 2 Israeli embassy staffers just days before their engagement, now facing a judge. What's next in his case as the Jewish community responds? And the holiday weekend is underway. Travelers hitting the roads and taking to the skies. How local members of the military are being honored this and every Memorial Day weekend.
And we've started off the weekend on a fairly nice, decent note. We'll talk about what the rest of the weekend is in store for you. Coming up on full 7-day forecast.
And we're saving you cash, whether it's at the gas station or planning for your future. We're finding several tips and tricks to stretch your dollar.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Good Saturday evening. Thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 6 o'clock. I'm Ben Dennis. We start tonight with a developing story. Tragic news out of Fairfax County, Virginia. We've learned a child has died after drowning in a pool. The details remain limited, but police say officers responded to this drowning at Ashley Road and Harrow Lane just before 10:30 this morning. From there, that child was airlifted to a hospital. That's where they died. Police have not shared how old that child was, and the circumstances remain unknown. Meantime, in the district, new details. 3 people were shot in Southeast overnight. Police say it happened around 10 o'clock on 4th Street. 2 of the men shot were reportedly unconscious when police got there. Their conditions are unknown at this hour, but police do say their homicide unit was notified. The 3rd victim, conscious and breathing right now. Nobody reportedly in custody. If you have any information, you're asked to call police. And developing right now, there is a police presence in Chinatown. Reports coming in of a shooting. We have not yet confirmed details yet from Metropolitan Police. We are working to learn more at this hour. Over to your weather now with meteorologist Scott Sumner. Scott, happy Memorial Day weekend to you. We're getting lucky. It's a beautiful one out there today.
Yeah, absolutely. Same to you, Ben. Same to everybody out there. Yeah, we are seeing some beautiful conditions out there. A little breezy at times, but overall not too bad. It's going to get cold tonight, especially when those winds relax across the entire DMV. As a matter of fact, the National Weather Service has put out a frost advisory for western Garrett County here. Not even the whole county itself. Western Garrett County from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. on your Sunday. This is where temperatures could get down around that mid-30 mark or so, and same for parts of West Virginia as well. So hopefully you brought in that tender vegetation out there. Hey, you know, it's Memorial Day weekend. I wanted to show you what we got here on the beach. Obviously, it wasn't the perfect beach day, but needless to say, there are some people out there this afternoon. Pretty nice. 69 degrees, partly cloudy skies here in D.C. And as far as the temperatures in D.C., well, we'll see those numbers slide through the 60s, through the 50s. I even have 40s for overnight lows, upper 40s here in and around the Beltway for the area. So a little bit of a chill out there, but things will warm right back up. We'll talk about tomorrow's highs and, of course, the full 7-day forecast. That's all coming up in just a bit.
All right, Scott. New tonight, 3 people are in the hospital after a serious crash in Northwest D.C. Look at these photos. Man, this is grueling. Police say this happened overnight at 12th and Constitution Avenue. Those photos show 2 cars with significant damage. One of them crashed into that pole there, that Charger. Police are investigating what happened, but they say a woman passenger from one of those cars was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. They also took 2 men to the hospital. One also expected to be all right, the other in serious condition. Time is 6:03. We continue our coverage of the tragic shooting of 2 young people outside of the Capitol Jewish Museum this week. Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram were gunned down while leaving an event. Police call the killings a targeted act of terror. Now, the suspect is a 31-year-old man from Chicago. He was just in court and charged with first-degree murder. We've learned he could face the death penalty. Our Yat Marisa Say has more.
That's right. This is a death penalty eligible case, and Elias Rodriguez is facing multiple charges, including several first-degree murder charges and also several handgun-related charges, and more could be added as the investigation continues. Now, Rodriguez appeared for a preliminary hearing yesterday, just hours after the deadly shooting at the Capitol Jewish Museum. And according to police, Rodriguez told investigators he did it for Palestine, he did it for Gaza. An FBI affidavit reveals the attack was premeditated. Rodriguez flew from Chicago to D.C. with a handgun, then purchased a ticket to the event roughly 3 hours before it began. Surveillance video reportedly shows Rodriguez shooting both victims, Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram, multiple times even after they were already on the ground. And court documents also state Rodriguez expressed admiration for the U.S. Air Force member who set himself on fire outside the Israeli embassy last February, calling the act courageous. During a press conference, officials said Rodriguez will face first-degree murder for allegedly killing a foreign official, which was Lashinsky, who was in the U.S. on official business, 2 counts of first-degree murder for killing both Lashinsky and Milgram, and multiple felony firearm charges. Now, the judge also informed Rodriguez he could face the death penalty if convicted.
Violence against anyone based on their religion is an act of cowardice. It is not an act of a hero. It is the kind of case that we will vigorously pursue. Anti-Semitism will not be tolerated, especially in the nation's capital.
Officials say additional charges could be filed as the investigation continues, and Rodriguez will be in front of a judge again on June 18th. Reporting in Northwest D.C., I'm Yalmer Sasay, DC News Now.
Certainly stay on top of this for continuing coverage of this deadly attack. Stay with us on air and online, of course, at DCNewsNow.com. New details. Several teenagers were arrested after police upped their presence for Memorial Day weekend. MPD says 2 teens were arrested in the Navy Yard area overnight. One charged with possessing a high-capacity feeding device. The other charged with public consumption of marijuana. Police also say that around 1 this morning along the U Street corridor, police stopped 6 teenagers for violating curfew. Within that group, 2 teens arrested for carrying a pistol without a license. Police say the group quickly broke apart and left after police responded. All of this coming after teens faced a brand new curfew last night at the Wharf. A weekend curfew just went back into effect tonight at 5 an hour ago, and it comes after multiple fights, robberies, and recent rowdiness from teens in Navy Yard. Our Daniel Hamburg spoke to locals who say something has to change.
There's a noticeable police presence at the Wharf for a temporary curfew this Memorial Day weekend. No one under 18 years old allowed from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. without an adult.
Probably good for the neighborhood and tourism around this area, because obviously every weekend usually the Wharf has something going on. And when there was all that commotion, nobody knows what's going on, and it makes you think that the worst is happening.
That commotion seen here from April 18th, where officers responded to multiple large groups of juveniles in Southwest Waterfront and Navy Yard.
A lot of commotion. I mean, police presence, noise, a lot of kids running around.
6 people were arrested, 5 for disorderly conduct, and 1 for assault on a police officer.
We've seen groups of juveniles causing disturbances, damaging property, jumping on tables in restaurants, causing affrays and fighting in public spaces, and even engaging in violent behavior. I will say it is all unacceptable, and we will not tolerate this kind of conduct or behavior.
Just last Saturday night, a similar story in Navy Yard, where police say there were disturbances, disorder, and at least 2 robberies. 3 juveniles were arrested. Whether a curfew will help is to be seen.
If it works and it helps, I'm all for it. But the Wharf is such an open space. There's always stuff going on at the Wharf where it's like, how do you really, without keeping like a constant police presence, how do you really enforce so many different things?
Well, thanks to Daniel. That curfew is from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. through Tuesday morning. There is no signage at all alerting people to the curfew. To keep kids occupied and safe, DC is holding holiday hype at the Banneker Recreation Center from 7 to 11 p.m. tonight through Sunday night. And this Memorial Day weekend is expected to break travel records. AAA expecting 45 million people to take a trip, the most ever. An uptick of 1.4 million people from last year. That's made some families prepare earlier than others due to the high cost of essential items.
The cost was before, it's not the same way anymore. Hopefully things are gonna get better, but we don't know when. But it doesn't seem like it.
AAA's gas price outlook signals good news. Prices lower this holiday weekend compared to Memorial Days in 2022, 23, and 24. We've Got a full breakdown on those gas prices coming up in our newscast. If you are hitting the roads, consider, though, using cashback apps before filling up your tank to keep some cash in your wallet. All right, in the Commonwealth, Virginia, Governor Glenn Youngkin is ordering all flags to be flown at half-staff Tuesday. That's in memory of Congressman Gerry Connolly. Connolly's family says he died at his home Wednesday after battling esophageal cancer. He announced his diagnosis last year. Earlier this year, the Democrat representative said he would retire from Congress after serving for 16 years. And in the district, the Poppy Wall returns to the National Mall. It honors the more than 600,000 Americans who've died in combat since World War I. This is on display through tomorrow at the base of the Lincoln Memorial between the reflecting pool and the Korean War Memorial. It's, of course, meant to remind everybody of the true meaning of the holiday. New this year, you can see and hear stories of service members who made the ultimate sacrifice. Also tomorrow, flowers of remembrance at Arlington National Cemetery. They're being laid. This Memorial Day weekend event is meant to honor everybody who served our nation. Video there from last year's event. Attendees can place flowers at the tomb of the unknown soldier. This ceremony has quite some history behind it. The first one took place in 1868 at the cemetery after the Civil War. Tomorrow's event runs from 8 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. Also tomorrow, thousands of motorcyclists will come to D.C. to raise awareness for veterans' mental health. It's an important cause. Yesterday, bikes were blessed at the National Cathedral for the 37th Rolling to Remember event. There was also a candlelight vigil at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Tomorrow's ride starts at noon and at the Pentagon North parking lot. There'll be a rally afterward. And then today in Bowie, the city remembered and honored those who served with the Memorial Day Parade. The parade serves as a way to recognize members of the armed services in Bowie, Maryland, and all across the DMV. Popular patriotic event featured a variety of marching bands. Yes, plenty of red, white, and blue. Floats, local clubs, and organizations to enjoy.
It's been excellent. It's a good showing of local politicians, local businesses, local organizations. It's just a great celebration of the local community.
Top units in the parade were recognized after it was all said and done. Some of those categories were Best Vehicle, Most Spirited Marching Band, and Best Costume. I wonder who dressed up like Uncle Sam. All right, coming up, we're helping you stretch your dollar, ways to save, some new insight if you're on a tight budget. Plus, making a splash in Montgomery County. What do you need to know before hitting the community pools there and in D.C.? Live look at the Pentagon this Memorial Day weekend. Stay with us. Scott's coming back with your forecast and the temps dipping down overnight. More coming up.